What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sports Psych Saturday here at Human Integrated Performance. My name is Tyson. So today what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about tryouts. So as hockey season starts to approach us, and many of the athletes we work with here at the clinic are hockey players, what we're going to be talking about for them is how you can nail those tryouts that you're going into right now. And for if you're watching it and playing a different sport, here's some tips that you can kind of take in with you for when tryout season rolls around in your sport, how you can integrate these skills into that sport so you're able to achieve your goal of making the top team that you want to. For some of you, this may be trying to make AAA. Some of this may mean you're trying to push towards a junior team. For others, this may be just wanting to play above a level that you played last year. Whatever your goal is for your sport, what we're going to be able to do here is you can take some of these tips, integrate them into your own preparations for tryouts, and then when that time comes, you can showcase your skills and strive to make whatever team that you're trying to make. Okay? So with tryouts, the tryout process actually starts before you get to the rink, because in order to have a successful tryout, we need to be prepared. And preparation comes in a variety of different forms. For some people, being prepared is being physically fit. For some people, it's being mentally ready. Others, it's going to be involving getting enough sleep, being hydrated, all those things. And for what we talk about here at the clinic is we want to be able to incorporate everything that I just talked about into being that preparation. So when we're going into that tryout, whether it's at the arena, on the ball diamond, on the court, wherever we have that tryout, we want to make sure that as we're stepping in, we are at our peak performance and ready to go. So this means not only being physically fit, not only getting enough sleep the night before, not only making sure we're hydrated, but this also includes making sure we're eating enough and having the fuel to contain and continue with those tryouts. And this also includes confidence. So we want to come in and have be confident in our abilities and so that we can showcase that and then we're going to make that team. Where a lot of people run into issues is they're coming in and they're already starting to feel the nerves, and that's normal. But when we feel those nerves, there's a difference between having that low confidence and saying, oh my gosh, I can't do this, and having that high confidence and saying, you know what, these nerves are good, it means I care, I'm going to do my best. And that's a really important aspect. So the first thing when it comes to tryouts is making sure that we are prepared, not only mentally, not only physically, but all around, making sure we've got all our bases covered when we're coming into that tryout. The next thing and next tip that we're going to talk about with tryouts is controlling what you can control. So this is a phrase that you've probably heard coaches and a wide variety of different people say when it comes to sport, but what really does it mean to control what we can control? Well, so when we're thinking of this sort of statement, we want to focus on ourselves. And it may sound a little selfish, but we need to make sure that we are maintaining a focus on what we can do and what we can control in that situation. Because when we're in a tryout, we have no idea what to expect. We can't tell you exactly what the coach is going to say, what the other players are going to do, what our opposition's going to do. With all these things involved, we can't be caught worrying about what everybody else is doing, because when we take that focus and that concentration away from ourselves, it's going to decrease our own performance. So no matter the situation, whether it's a tough drill or all of a sudden you start into a practice and it becomes a conditioning skate, we can't get caught up in like, oh, that guy looks like he's doing very good, or wow, that goalie's doing really well on that side. We can't let those thoughts get into our mind. We need to maintain focus on ourselves. So that means whatever happens, whether it goes good, whether it goes bad, keep focused on yourself. And as well as that, let go of mistakes. Because mistakes are going to happen, but we can't let those drag us down into a negative mindset. Because guess what? Everybody's going to make a mistake. Nobody's going to go through a tryout and be absolutely flawless. That it just doesn't happen. But what we're going to be looking for, and a lot of coaches that I've talked to have talked about looking for how guys bounce back from mistakes. What does their mental toughness look like, and what is their attitude towards mistakes? If there's a player who's able to brush off a mistake and then continue working hard and continue striving to try and make that play up, It's going to be very different than a player who makes a mistake, all of a sudden gets mad, smashes their stick on the ice, and then their body language looks dejected. There's two very different players there. And if a coach is looking and our evaluator is looking, they're going to take a look at the guy who's able to recover from that mistake a lot faster, and it's not going to impact their performance as much. Our next tip is actually involving showcasing your skills. So not only is that mean your individual skills as an athlete, whether if you're a hockey player, if you're showcasing your speed or your great shot, it's also showcasing your listening ability to the coaches, how you work with a team, how you communicate. So all these different intangible aspects are what really goes into a coach's decision making. So if they're looking and watching a guy who can communicate on the ice, who is listening to his coaches, taking in the feedback that they're giving him, as well as working well with their teammates, and on top of that, has a high level of skill, they're going to take that guy every single time over somebody who may have a high level of skill, but isn't showing the same want and desire that every other player is. So when we're talking about those skills, really focus on, look at the big picture, not just how you're doing in your skills, but how are you communicating? Are you asking for feedback? Are you taking that feedback and learning from it? All these things are really, really valuable. And our last thing that we're going to talk about here for this video is staying in the moment. All right, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. It's obviously we all want to make that top team, and that is our goal. But it's a step-by-step process to get there. So as we're going through, we don't want to say, oh my gosh, I have to make this team, I have to make this team, I have to make this team. Focus on one step at a time, one play at a time, and then as you go through, focus on making those correct little plays each and every time. That's going to help you achieve to that next level. And the last thing that we're going to say here, remember to relax and play your game. You know that your skills, you know the game that you want to play. Don't try and be somebody else in that situation. Play your game, do your best, and you'll make it. All right? So, as we come to the end here, try and take these tips that we've learned this week, take them in, develop a plan for your tryouts, and then once you're ready to go for those tryouts, you're going to nail it. So we'll see you next week. As always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you later.